So, House Representative out of South Carolina, Nancy Mace, rips into ex-Twitter executive Vijaya Getty, I believe that's how you say her name, over vax information. This is coming from Fox News. It says House GOP rips former Twitter exec for censoring vax data from doctors. It says here, Nancy Mace challenged ex-Twitter official Vijaya Getty during Wednesday's House Oversight Committee, demanding to know what medical expertise she had before censoring CV-19 vax information from Harvard and Stanford-educated doctors, as well as the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC. And I must read this part before I play this clip. This is what she said, in quote. This is what Nancy Mace said to her. She says, "You guys censored Harvard-educated doctors, Stanford-educated doctors that are educated in the best places in the world, and you silenced those voices." So that is very important. That is very, very important to understand that Twitter, as well as other mainstream platforms, did not just censor regular Joe Schmo people, the common folk like you and me. They also censored Harvard, Stanford educated doctors, medical expertise, in their background, and dismiss even these medical experts as crazy conspiracy theorists. And the same thing happened during the pandemic. I remember this. They were silencing all of the medical experts who were trying to get their message out and inform people that the lockdowns were not stopping or preventing the spread. So, anyways, I bring this up. Number one, I'm going to play a clip. I'm going to play the clip so you can hear it for yourself. But number two, I want you to understand the situation. The powers that be find themselves in a awkward position, a position they're not used to being in. They are in defense mode because their whole plan is falling apart. Their great reset is falling apart. And I'm going to get into that later on in the show. Okay? Information that they did not want disclosed is coming out. And when it gets to the point where people find out the long-term effects, not just the short-term effects, did you take it and drop dead as soon as you took it? No. The long-term health side effects, when that information comes out, it's going to be a lot of pissed off people. It's the only reason why I'm bringing this up. I'm so over the pandemic. I'm so over the shots and everything else. But this is important because I'll say this, if these conservative leaders are not BSing, and if they're not bluffing, your Jim Jordans and people like that, and your Nancy Maces and your Marjorie Taylor Greens and the rest of them, if they're serious about investigating Fauci and Dr. Peter Daszak and getting into the origins of where the virus actually came from and the medical misinformation that they and the mandates and everything else, and then it comes out, the truth comes out about the long-term side effects of these shots, there are going to be a lot of there will be a lot of pissed off people. And it will not be safe for certain individuals to walk down the street. You know what I'm getting at. If you know, you know, right? It will not be safe for them to walk down the street. If you don't know, you don't know, and I won't go there. But we've heard this before. And it looks like we could be heading into that scene of the movie that we are watching. Okay? I'm going to leave it there. But anyways, I'm going to play this clip of South Carolina Representative Nancy Mason. Listen to what she says. Listen to how she sounds very passionate. Again, she could just be a good actor. I don't know. Judge for yourself.
Consequences for this type of online harassment and speech.
Well, I must say, those are very real consequences.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Twitter files were not just about Hunter Biden's laptop. Twitter worked overtime to suppress accurate COVID information. Apparently, the views of a Stanford doctor are disinformation to you people. I, along with many Americans, have long-term effects from COVID. Not only was I a long hauler, but I have effects from the vaccine. It wasn't the first shot, but it was the second shot that I now developed asthma that has never gone away since I had the second shot. I have tremors in my left hand, and I have the occasional heart pain that no doctor can explain, and I've had a battery of tests. I have great regrets about getting the shot because of the health issues that I now have that I don't think are ever going to go away. Where did you go to medical school?
I did not go to medical school.
I'm sorry?
I did not go to medical school.
That's what I thought. Why do you think you or anyone else at Twitter have the medical expertise to censor a doctor's expert opinion?
Our policies regarding COVID were designed to protect individuals. We were seeing...
You guys censored Harvard-educated doctors, Stanford-educated doctors, doctors that are educated in the best places in the world, and you silenced those voices. You're not a doctor, right, Ms. Gaddy?
No, I'm not.
Okay. What makes you think you or anyone else at Twitter have the medical expertise to censor actual, accurate CDC data?
I'm not familiar with these particular situations.
Yeah, I'm sure you're not. It's not just about the laptop. This is about medical advice that expert doctors were trying to give Americans because social media companies like Twitter were silencing their voices. Did the U.S. government ever contact you or anyone at Twitter to pressure Twitter to moderate or censor certain tweets? Yes or no?
We have a program.
Did the U.S. government ever contact you or anyone at Twitter to censor or moderate certain tweets? Yes or no?
We receive legal demands to remove content from the platform from the U.S. government and governments all around the world.
Thank God for Matt Taibbi. Thank God for Elon Musk for allowing to show us in the world that Twitter was basically a subsidiary of the FBI.
This story is very important, not because of any one specific religion, but just because of the infringement on your rights in general. This is coming from the Federalists. It says 3 warning signs the FBI might label you a radical traditionalist Christian. These are terms that the FBI is throwing around. Says intelligence analysts and the chief counsel of the Federal Bureau of Investigation's Richmond, Virginia field office are concerned radical traditionalist Catholics are a threat to our democracy and could be ripe for recruitment by white supremacists. Now, I've said this before in the past that the reason why the powers that be, the mainstream media, because the mainstream media is their mouthpiece, the reason why they harp on white supremacy so much is because with that label, they can destroy their enemies. Who are their enemies? People that stand up, people that speak out, people that that rise up against tyranny and dictatorships. They will label any and every group a white supremacist, even black groups. As long as it fits their agenda, or if it benefits their agenda, I should say, excuse me. Okay? Understand this. They're not throwing that term out there for nothing. They're not just labeling people white supremacists for nothing. They're doing it because under the guise of white supremacy, stopping white supremacy, they can label you a terrorist. It's a mind game. I know it's hard for some people to believe, but it's true. If you don't believe me, ask any black conservative. What happens once they tell people that they are conservative? They all of a sudden get thrown in that group. Not just conspiracy theorists, but they get thrown into the group of being a threat to national security, a threat to homeland security. Trust me. Now, with that being said, I'm going to get back to this article. This is from thefederalist.com. It says, although FBI headquarters has tried to distance itself from the memo, that does not change the fact that multiple staffers, including a senior attorney, signed off on the intelligence bulletin. That bulletin relied on an Atlantic article about rosary prayer beads being a weapon and the grifting hate group called the Southern Poverty Law Center. Okay, so now they are identifying people that wear rosary prayer beads. Again, this is not about religion anymore. You got to look past that because you might say, well, I'm not a Catholic. I don't care about Catholic. Look, it's not about that. It's about them infringing on your rights and taking away your freedom of religion. They're going beyond freedom of speech. You got to remember, this is a satanic cult. These are the same people that sponsored a satanic award show, the Grammys, just recently. Okay? Keep that in mind. So who are they targeting? They're targeting people that believe in God. What religion you are, they don't care. They don't care. It sounds crazy, but trust me, I'm always ahead. I'm always ahead. I know these people very well. Okay, enough about me. Let's get back to the article. It says, the retraction, because they had to retract or try to distance themselves from the memo, says the retraction does not remove the attitude within the Richmond field office that Catholics who like the Latin Mass or hold conservative views are threats. Right? It says, given how the U.S. Department of Justice, FBI, and federal government in general have repeatedly targeted conservatives for their speech and beliefs, it might be good to consider some warning signs that possibly landed traditional faithful Catholics on the radar of law enforcement. Okay, but you have to keep this in mind. It's not about Catholics, really. That's just something. It's really about religious people in general, because this is a satanic cult that want to force you into their new age religion, which is science. Science being code for Satan. I know I'm not supposed to talk about this on this particular show. I'm supposed to save that for the Invalid Truth, Adjusted Minds. But hey. So anyway, I want to I don't want to go through the entire article. You can go read it for yourself. Again, thefederalist.com. But I do want to point out these are the list of characteristics, things that you do that may prompt the FBI to look at you as a threat to national security. Listen to this. Being interested in homeschooling. That could raise a red flag for the FBI. That sounds crazy, right? No. The reason why that will put you on a list, or at least raise a red flag for the FBI, is because usually the only people that homeschool their children are people who do not trust the public school system. That means that they are aware of the pedophilia. I'm just going to come out and say it, the pedophilia, the brainwashing, the Satanism, the communism, the Marxism and everything else that is going on inside of these public schools. As a matter of fact, check me. See if I'm wrong. See if I'm lying. The Biden DOJ in 2021, I believe it was February, because I did a report on it. They placed, I'm going to make sure I get this right. They placed parents who were protesting against the curriculum that was being forced on their children. They went up to the school boards and protested. In protest, they went up there in huge numbers and it was a mass protest. They placed them on the FBI list of, I forget what they call it, dangerous individuals, to lack of better terms. You get what I'm saying, right? Domestic terrorism, that's what they were. Potential domestic terrorists, I believe that's what they call them. Parents, we're talking about concerned parents that want to make sure that their children are not being brainwashed at school. They're being labeled as domestic terrorists to be investigated by the FBI. That is here in the United States of America. That's not in China. We're not talking about North Korea. That happened here in the United States, in the United States of America. That happened. And it's still happening. Okay. There was another one on the list. This is number 2. Meeting every Sunday with other people who want good lives. That could get you put on the FBI potential domestic terrorist list, right? Let me see. Is there another one here? Oh, number 3. Anybody that values life, organic marriage, and organic sexes, meaning that you believe in 2 genders, right? You don't believe in non-binary. That could get you put on the domestic terrorist list of the FBI. So just understand that the globalists view you as a slave. If you display any signs other than being a good slave, on your best behavior, answering to them, that is considered a threat. You have to understand their code, their coded language. Whenever you hear the elites, the powers that be, say things like, we have to protect our democracy from these radicals, right? What they're saying is, we have to crush the people who threaten our dominance, the people that threaten our dictatorship, the people that are going to fight back against tyranny, the people that will not go along with our mandates. That's what that means. The people that want to remain, I don't even want to use the word free, but people that want to keep this, even if it's an illusion of a constitution, and hold on to constitutional rights. I'll put it that way. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, right to bear arms, freedom to travel without getting permission from the government, as unlike China, North Korea. They don't like it when you talk like that. They'll lie to you and say that they're all for it. They're not. They're not. You will own nothing and you will be happy. That's what they want. They want you in these little 15-minute cities. I did a report on that, where you will have to ask the government for permission to leave outside of your jurisdiction, or the jurisdiction that they give you, whatever little allotment, landmass that they give you. Yes, this is true. This is what they have planned for the future. But I know I'm crazy, right? No. I tell you what, you think I'm crazy? Go look up 15-minute cities, and you'll see that major publications are saying that this will be good for humanity. And it will protect the environment. Again, they're going to use climate change, and I'm not going to go on a tangent. They're going to use climate change as a reason to bring in these 15-minute cities where you will not be able to leave outside of your region. Any place you have to travel outside of 15 minutes, if it's going to take you more than 15 minutes to travel wherever your destination is, that's going to be considered a no-go, a no zone, right? A no-go. Yes, and you will get a fine. You will get a ticket. You will have to pay. Just like you running a red light, running a stop sign, illegally parked. Yeah. I kid you not. This is what they're throwing out there. So naturally, they don't want religious people coming against them. Why? Because they view religion as a form of rebellion. Trust me. I know that sounds crazy, but they do. They don't want people that believe in God standing in the way of their New World Order agenda. As a matter of fact, I believe it was the New York Times put out a article. It was an opinion piece back in, I want to say like late March, early April of 2022, where they literally said, is it time to get rid of God? New York Times. Why? Well, in order for the Satanists to take complete control, God got to go. You can't have people believing in God. So this is why they're attacking the religious different religious sects, the different religious groups and organizations, wherever they may be. And trust me, this is not limited to just the Catholics. I want you to understand that. They don't care, Baptist, Catholic, whatever. They don't care. Go look at the Grammys. Go look at the satanic ritual that was performed at the Grammys, and you'll understand. The Satanists are trying to take over, and they're doing it right in front of you. The witches and the warlocks are real. It's not a game. It's not some fantasy. It's not Jamaro being crazy and wearing a tinfoil hat. Go look at the Grammys and tell me I'm crazy. That's all you got to do. And then you'll understand why they want to get rid of religion. They want you to worship their God, which is Satan. Period. And some of them are bold enough to come out and say it. Believe it or not. And what that does for me, it makes my job a lot easier, because then I don't have to sit up here and explain it as much or go into as much detail, because I can just say, oh, go look at this. Go look and see. Okay? So understand that if you believe in God openly, you are considered a threat, a danger, a threat to national security. In the UK, I believe it was the UK, a woman was she was arrested, apprehended for silently, tongue twister, silently praying outside of an abortion clinic. They apprehended her, and she was charged for praying. I believe it was a police officer, but I think they have different titles over there. But anyway, one of the officers walked up to her and asked her, "What are you doing?" She said she was praying in her head. He apprehended her. She's not allowed to pray outside of the abortion clinic. Don't believe me? Look it up. You don't have to sit there and where you come up. No. Go look it up. See if I'm lying. Fact check me. See if I'm lying. That's all you got to do. Type it in. I dare you. And then you'll see why here in the United States, the globalist satanic cults are openly admitting via New York Times and other major publications that God has to go. How can you have a satanic rulership if religious people still openly confess that they believe in a higher power other than Satan? Common sense. It's as if the powers that be are failing in every way possible. And that is a pun intended. Even the impossible meat industry is failing. If you don't know what impossible meat is, just think about the Impossible Whopper. You know, the fake meat that your boy Bill Gates and these ultra elites who want you to eat bugs, their little crap that they came up with, their processed foods, their fake meat, the fake meat industry, while they destroy cattle around the world, trying to cause a real-life food crisis, burning crop, getting farmers to sell their farms, while you're being distracted by the damn Super Bowl. This is what's happening around the world. However, the good news is their industry is failing. Their fake meat, impossible crap meat is failing. This is coming from the National Pulse, and I've read this also in other major media outlets, and it's been reported that their stock is completely down. From the National Post, it says the fake meat industry is failing, but that might lead to governments propping it up. It says Impossible Foods, manufacturers of plant-based meat alternatives, is seeing off 20% of its workforce, is laying off, Same thing. They're laying off 20% of its workforce. This will be the third wave of layoffs at Impossible in just the last year. It marks another wretched milestone for the beleaguered company, which has continually failed to justify its own hype. Says the fresh round of cuts was reported on Monday by Bloomberg, citing an unnamed source. If the cuts go as deep as the source claims, around 140 of the company's 700 staff will go. The move comes off the back of attempts to reduce the company's headcount through voluntary buyouts. So far, the company has not responded. Says Impossible Foods maintain it is simply streamlining its business so it can continue to hyper grow. And it goes on to say that a number of key executives have left the company. So anyway, they're trying to justify their losses. It says, I'm going to jump down in the article, according to Bloomberg, it says sales of refrigerated meat alternatives were down 10% for the year, September the 4th, 2022. Again, that's according to Bloomberg. And then they go on to, talk about reasons why. But anyway, I just wanted to point that out. Good news. People say that I'm negative all the time, but there is some good news. Like I said, the good news is a lot of what I'm noticing, it seems like, and dare I say, the powers that be are failing. They failed with their pandemic. It was supposed to go on for 5 years. Didn't work. They failed with their mandates. That was supposed to be forever. That didn't work. They're still trying to bring that back, by the way. They failed with their defund the police. Now people are asking for more police as crime skyrockets across the country. They try to manipulate the data to make it look as if it's not as bad as it really is. It's not safe anywhere anymore, especially in the major cities. What else? Drag queen story time that's being exposed. Trying to push the alternative lifestyle on children. Children as young as 9 years old. That's being exposed. The information about the shots are coming out. They didn't plan on, and I'm going to say this, you're going to hear me talk about this forever. They were not planning on releasing the data, the real data, until the year 2075, I believe. Or I think they said 75 years, something along those lines. But now that's coming out. Even their little satanic Grammys, the satanic Grammy Awards that they had, people were all over social media talking about how sick and disgusted they were watching that crap, watching that filth. People are rejecting their New World Order global reset. which is good, but also makes them very dangerous because they're backed into a corner. Desperate times call for desperate measures. So this is just one more thing. And this is important because he who controls the food controls the people. The idea was to create a global food shortage. And then the alternative was going to be alternative meat. That's what this whole plant-based meat crap was all about. This is the reason why Bill Gates is buying up all this farmland. He's the number one, I believe he has the most farmland in America still, if I'm not mistaken. And he's invested into the impossible meats, the alternative meats. He's invested into the vaccines. He's admitted that as well. Their plans are failing, falling apart, little by little. Every time you turn around, they're being exposed for this, they're being exposed for that. Thought we would never get here, but we're here. What happens next? Only time will tell. But it's a beautiful thing to see for the moment. Nobody is buying this alternative meat crap. Nobody wants to eat bugs. That's what these people are trying to promote. If you don't believe me, go on YouTube. I know you idiots don't know that there's anything outside of YouTube, right? Or CNBC, MSNBC, or whatever, Fox News. Go to YouTube and look up celebrities eating bugs. They're trying to promote it. They always use their celebrities to promote their agenda. And that was one that they had on their list, that they were going to control the food supply. They would eat the real meat. In other words, you, the little guy, the serfs, the nobodies, were going to eat fake meat, processed meat that we don't know what the hell we're eating. And we're going to shut up and just enjoy it. As long as it tastes like a burger, then it's a burger. It could have all kinds of nastiness in it. They counted on you being stupid. Right? That's what they were counting on. And then they would eat the real meat. They would get the steaks and the real burgers from the real cow. Just like you aren't allowed to drive your car because, you're polluting. Your car is causing global warming. Your car is causing climate change. But yet they could drive their expensive Lamborghinis and whatever else, or fly in their private jets. But once again, it appears that their agenda is falling apart right before our eyes. We'll see where this goes. We'll see if this trend continues. All right, it's time for a little segment I like to call a moment of honesty. Just going to tell you exactly how I'm feeling with everything that's going on in the world right now. I can honestly say that nothing is surprising me. For the past 3 years now, I've pretty much nailed damn near everything concerning the globalist agenda to the point where it's almost scary. And it's not just me, it's a lot of other people that are in the know, that understand what's going on. Now, the important part, or the important piece to this puzzle, is who are you getting your information from? Because most people are getting their information from mainstream media. Even though their numbers are down, there's still a great portion or a great number of people that still rely on mainstream media for the news, and they don't realize that they're not getting the news. Now, I say that to say this. People have to stop and ask themselves, when was the last time the mainstream media told you the truth about anything? Anything. Name the pandemic, they lied. January the 6th, they lied. The efficiency of the vax, they lied. The origins of the virus, they lied. Everything has been a lie. So it's now up to the people to look in the mirror, have that conversation, be honest. Like I said, there's a moment of honesty, and admit that you've been lied to. Can people do that? No. No. You know why? Because it would require critical thinking and accountability. Critical thinking and accountability. And that is something that most Americans do not have. They no longer possess that power, if you will, or the ability to do either one of those things. That is a requirement. To be honest with yourself is just damn near impossible nowadays. Now, why is that important? That's important because it is obvious that the elites are planning something. They have something up their sleeve. All of these balloons, these mystery balloons and these mystery aircraft, whatever they are signs, or you can say they are signals of something big, something major coming down the pipe. Something's about to change. Now, if you ask me, I'm going to be honest with you, and I'm going to tell you, no matter how crazy it sounds, I don't care. At this point, I believe that there's a good chance, or you can even say a great chance, that these people are desperate. I believe that the pandemic worked in their favor in certain ways, and in other ways it did not work in their favor. Why? Because it's all being exposed. People don't trust them. They've lost the trust of the people. Not all of them. Like I've said before, there's still a great number of people that still trust mainstream media. But there's a growing number of Americans, specifically in America. Now, this is happening all over the world. There is a such thing as a great awakening. Now, I know I get angry from time to time, and I say that there's no great awakening. I've said that before. But no, there is a great awakening. It's just the normies aren't waking up, and it pisses me off, and it makes me go off on tangents on this show and say that there's no great awakening. There is a great awakening. Now watch the next show, I'll get pissed off and say that there is no great awakening. But I'm saying all of that to say this. The powers that be appear to be in a desperate spot. What I'm gathering, what the thought that I'm going with now is that the pandemic was supposed to be the big shebang. That was supposed to lead into what they called the Great Reset. I think we were supposed to be in the Great Reset now. I think their plan was to drag the pandemic out for another 5 years because they were openly stating that this is the new normal. Things may never go back to normal again. And I think their plan was to starve out the third world. That would reduce the population while simultaneously forever locking down, or at least for a long period of time, locking down the United States, which that would completely destroy the economy. That would just kill middle class. It would kill the middle class all across the board, all across the nation. When Trump rolled out the shots at the end of his term in 2020, in December, they jumped on board. They said, oh, okay, we have the shots, the vax. I think from there, because they dug in 10 toes deep into getting everyone to take these shots, it sped everything up for them. So it went from, we're going to be locked down for a very long time, for years, to, okay, let's shift the narrative and say that if everyone takes this injection, we can open things back up again. Because the money was there. You have to follow the money to know who stood to gain from this rollout of the injections. With that being said, what ends up happening, we went through the mandates and everything else, and about a year later, they had to drop them because people started resisting. So where are we now? You got the war with Ukraine, Russia and Ukraine. That distracted people for a while. You had the Trump classified documents that distracted people for a while. And of course, you got your Super Bowls and your holidays and everything else that people, get distracted by. Your usuals. The problem that they're facing now, if you're a normie, you're not going to know what I'm talking about. But a lot of information is coming out about shots, and it's not good. It's not good. And you're having people that took it that are coming out and confessing that they've had health issues after taking it. Also, I believe it was Pfizer was forced to release their data last year because they wanted to bury their findings, and it wouldn't be released to the public until the year 2075 or something crazy like that. But a judge overthrew that and said that they had 8 months, and I believe that was at the beginning of 2022. And they had, I believe it was anywhere between August or October of 2022 to come out with all of it. So what they did was they wrote out the data or the information months at a time, like 500 pages here, 500 pages there. They are trying their best to cover this up. If the public ever find out the truth, and you don't want to know the truth, if they ever find out, it could be holy hell breaking loose. Maybe not you will do anything, but there are people out there that will be very, very pissed off. trust me and believe me, they are afraid of their exposure. They are losing their grip. A lot of people aren't buying into this climate change crap. A lot of people are not buying into this. Matter of fact, the Beyond Meat, the Impossible Meat and all of that is supposed to be replacing real meat. That stock has tanked. That stock has failed. You go look it up for yourself. I read it this morning. They are failing. Nobody is going for the whole Impossible Whopper crap or the Impossible Beyond Meat crap. They tried to sell people on eating bugs instead of meat. That's not working. They tried to sell people on getting rid of their gas stoves. That's not working. Electric cars. That's not working. And more people are becoming, or they are now aware that there is a World Economic Forum and that these people are looking to be their dictators. They're looking to own you, literally. So they are desperate. Desperate times call for desperate measures. So what are you seeing now? You're seeing much talk in the media about flying objects. Now, I know people probably thought I was crazy about 2 years ago. I said there's going to be a staged alien invasion. My episodes are, if you can go back into my catalog, my archives, and see that I talked about this 2 years ago. Now here we are in 2023, and I know I've talked about this at least since 2021. And again, I did another maybe 2 episodes in 2022. And I believe in one of the episodes, if I remember correctly, I said by 2027-ish, 2028, we would see a false flag alien invasion. Here we are in 2023. Here they go. Every day, there's a new unidentified flying object that they're discovering. What does that tell me? That tells me that they're getting desperate and that things are speeding up. Instead of them waiting to 2027, 2028 like they wanted to, because remember, it's Agenda 2030. You have to look that up. Look up Agenda 2030. There is an actual Agenda 2030 that's ran by the globalists. But their timeline has been sped up because people are starting to wake up. So instead of them waiting, they're pushing it forward now. Now understand what comes with this is an EMP attack. They may just shut down the grid. I expected them to do that at the end of 2022, but they didn't do it. My thought was that they were going to shut down the grid and blame Putin. They were going to blame Russia because it was right there. It was sitting right there for them. But they did not go forward with that. But instead, what they did do was they allowed China to fly this balloon. Or at least they claimed it was China. They're now saying that there was there was English writing on the balloon. But we know that this is all pantomime. This is all theater. It's all staged, right? If you know, you know. But I will say this. Now more than ever, be prepared for the grid to be shut down. I'm telling you, it could happen at any moment. these UFO sightings, these unidentified flying objects are not being displayed. And notice it's being done, both the left and the right are displaying them, which means that they're both in on this. Okay? They would not do this except they have plans to move forward with this staged event, which will be some kind of invasion on Earth. And that will be their excuse to shut down the grid and literally reset everything, because once there's an EMP attack, everything gets shut down. No electricity. Your cars will not start up. I want you to understand what that means. If they go forward with this, not saying that they necessarily will, I'm saying you have to understand that they usually lay these cards out on the table and they see which card is best for them to play at the moment. And at the moment, the elites are desperate. And if they feel like they're losing their grip, if they feel like they're losing power, they will do whatever is necessary to regain power and control, even if it means shutting the whole system down.